I imagine there's two scenarios. You're either watching this video on a rainy Sunday or you're scurrying to get it done before it expires at 9:30 on Monday morning. Either way, this is our third video on pointers and addresses. Kudos to Max and Lexi for asking the question I was hoping I'd get asked. Everybody watched the video Friday, and I was hoping to get more ask me, why? Why would you do this? Pointers are valuable because so far all we've did is a function can return one value, or it can even return an array or something, but it can only return one thing at a time. By passing by reference and using pointers, you can do many things in the code at once. After this video, you'll be able to see that in this video, I am just using one pointer in two different functions. But you can see, that the parameters, I can line 8 things up in the parameters and send it to a function. And that function this way can change everything back in the program. It can change all 8 of those things I send it back in the program, where the only thing we did till now is just return one value. I think you'll have a better idea for it after this video. But the other thing I wanted to tell you is we're not going to be writing any programs using that this semester. It's on the syllabus that basically you're made aware of it and kind of understand the concepts, and you'll use it for programming if you take 115 in the spring. Another thing before I go through this video, if you don't plan on taking 115 in the spring, and I think there's 3 or 4 people that are opting out, just let me know. There's no hard feelings. I mean, it's not for everyone. I realize that, but just let me know, and so I can let the people in the office know. I think there's a handful that haven't signed up, but I think that's a few of them might just be a mistake. Also, if you're really struggling down the stretch, you might want to think about 115. I wouldn't let the battleship program throw you. That's kind of a challenge, and it takes everybody a little bit of time to understand that. That's just one of the things you get or you don't get. It's not really whether you can program or not program. It's the battleship program was tricky, and I don't know how many people would have got it without me giving hints and helps and showing code and stuff like that. So don't let the battleship program don't let it be the decider on whether you take the class in the spring. But if you're struggling with all the concepts, you might want to give it a second thought. All right, this is actually a pretty simple program, but it kind of gives you an idea about passing by reference and using pointers. So simple program. I've got 2 prototypes here. I've got get number, which is a void function. Void does not return anything. It just does something, but I'm sending it an integer pointer. And I've got another function, a separate function called void double value, which I'm just going to basically, the number I got up here, I'm going to double it with the second function. So this has got, it's totally commented out, and sometimes I think that might be a distraction, but just take a quick look, a good hard look at it. 2 functions. I'm declaring a variable, an integer, and I'm calling it number. Now, the next 2 lines, actually, there's only 4 lines to this code. 1 line is to declare the number. 1 line is to call the function getNumber. The 3rd line is to call the function double value. And the 4th line is to print it out. So there's only 4 lines to this. Declared integer number. Then I'm going to call the function getNumber that I declared up here. I'm going to send it the address of number. I'm not sending it number. I'm not sending it the variable number. I'm sending it the address. Same thing with the second function, double value. I'm just going to send it the address. Remember, the ampersand means address, right? And obviously, get number is going to get the number. Double value is going to double the number. And the last line is going to print it out. All right, this is important going down. Let's looking at these two functions. Look at the functions. One's a 2-line function. One is a 1-line function. All right. Get number. We sent it the address of number. Down inside the function, we're going to put, as a parameter, we're going to put an integer pointer. Okay, it's an integer pointer, and we're going to call it input. So in essence, input points at number. We send it the address, but now it's a pointer, and it points at number back in the main program. See out, enter an integer number, and then we're going to see in the pointer to input. Okay, this function's a void function. It returns nothing. But, all right, we seed in this input, so it points at number. Remember, this is pointing at number back in the main program. So when we see in this pointer to an integer, which we're calling input, we could have called it anything here. Okay, we see it changes it back in the main program. We didn't have to return a value, and assign it to something. What we did is we made it a pointer, and it changes back in the main program. And this goes back to Lexi and Max's question. Why? Look, I could have 6 integers I pass to this and do something with them, and they all change back in the main. Where if I would have had this would have made this a function where I returned an integer, I could have only returned one integer. But now with pointers and passing by reference, I can do all kinds of things. It makes programming more powerful, makes the programs shorter. All right. So all this did was enter an integer number. All right. It sees it in as a pointer, and that is pointing back to number in the main. The second function. All right. Let's go up and look at it. Double. I'm sending it the address of number again. Number's been changed. All right. By this first function. Let's say I'm going to enter 9. I enter 9, and that changes it back here. This is integer number equals 9 now. Now I'm going to send it the address again. I'm going to accept, before I sent it an address where it didn't have to a integer that didn't have a value. Now I'm going to send it to I'm going to send it the address of number, but number actually has a value now. It's 9. It could be anything, but I'm going to enter it as 9. All right. So it takes we send it the address. It takes it in as a pointer, enter an integer to a number. It assigns CN to the input. Oh, I'm sorry, screwed up there. I'm just talking about the same one. Send an integer value, then I double it. Times equal to is something we've seen before. So it doubles number back in the main. Get number gets a number and assigns it to number by reference using a pointer. Int value basically doubles the number in the main. So I'm going to enter 9 and watch how it works. Well, it's pretty uneventful how it works. Enter an integer, 9, and it doubles it. The value doubled is 18. All right, I could have did this easily about 15 other ways, but this was just to show you how you pass by reference and can use a pointer. When you use a pointer in a function like this, you can change, and you send it the address, you can change the number back in the main program. Any amount you can, I've said you could take 6 integers. You could actually pass it an integer, an array, a character, a string, and all those could be changed in a function. Or, if you send them, if you send the addresses and use them as pointers, you can change all kinds of things. The parameters can be, watch my cursor, it can be way out here with the amount of parameters that you send. All right, I think this is about as deep as we're going to go into pointers. You're all going to get lots of pointers in the spring for those of you who take 150, but this is just an explanation. We've talked about the addresses, we've talked about the pointers. Um, for the final, just watch these three videos a few times. The ones you watched on Friday, watch this one, understand it, maybe even type it in and run it, change it a little. But the key point is that these functions are void functions, and they're changing things back in the main by the use of a pointer. Both of them use a pointer. All right. Guys, if you are watching this on Sunday, have a good rest of the weekend. I will see you on Monday. There will be no videos over the Thanksgiving break. I hope that you have your program in by the time, I forget whether I made it 5 or midnight, 5 o'clock in the afternoon or midnight. Get your program in on Tuesday and just forget about school for the 5-day weekend. Guys, I'll see you on Monday.